Yo, what's up? We are now sitting in the BMW iX1 and we're gonna have another podcast. Yes, I'm actually doing a 1,000 kilometer challenge now, and I had an idea. Let's have another podcast. We haven't had it in a while, and this time I want to talk about Toyota. So earlier this week I had a meeting with Toyota, and I want to tell you guys how it went, because I think many people, for some reason, I don't know what's up with this, but Toyota videos gets lots of views in my channel, which means that you guys must be interested in the Toyota videos. So that's why I'll make some videos and tell you what happened during that meeting. So I met Espen at Toyota. I don't remember his exact position, but I think he was some kind of PR manager. And then also Piotr, who's a Polish guy, and he is the country manager there, if I remember correctly, something like that. Piotr is actually a car guy and also an EV driver. He used to drive, it was a Ford Mustang Mach-E, and yeah. And then I guess now he drives the Toyota BZ, of course, company car. But that's good that we have a country manager in Toyota in Norway who is an EV driver, and he should also be pushing EV mobility for the rest of the Toyota in Norway, right? And okay, they didn't pay me anything like that, but I have to say, man, in all honesty, when I went to meet those guys, they were very nice, down to earth, and quite humble. So they know they have gotten lots of bad criticism from the public, and also from the different car test places, right? Like Motor and Elbil and yeah, those places. But they are still trying to do their best to make good cars, good EVs. And I think they acknowledge that they are maybe a little bit far behind. They have, okay, hybrid technology, but when it comes to EVs, yeah, they're trying to improve, at least. So yeah. And then what else? Yeah, there was first of a little introduction. So it was just three people, me and those other guys I mentioned. They introduced Piotr, and then his background, and then also a little bit about Toyota. It's a big company, you know. They have sold lots of cars worldwide, but they've also been growing. They showed me some stats that Toyota over the years, actually many years, have been slowly climbing up the top list in Europe, and it's now right behind Volkswagen as the most selling car brand in Europe. So there was a little bit of stuff there, you know. I guess it's just a standard procedure for them to walk through the presentation, right? And then they also talk about the update for the BZ. It's coming in May. I don't know, we just call it the May update. So the May update will, I mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again. It will include an improvement in call it the throttling, right? It used to be it's actually 2 cycles, not 2 sessions, but used to be 2 sessions. It's going to be increased to 3.8, and they don't count sessions, they count kilowatt hour. I guess what they do is just they look in the BMS and they see how many kilowatt hour DC you have received within 24 hours, something like that. I didn't get all the details, but I can imagine how it works. So that will actually improve things greatly, because to be honest, when I tested the BZ before its throttle, it was actually going fairly fast. I was getting 145, 150 kilowatt, almost around 45%. So nice and flat charging curve until the throttle, of course, which means that if you can get 3.8 sessions within 24 hours, that would be big. Yeah, that would be a big improvement. And then other improvements is that they will show state of charge in percentage now in the car. Yeah, that's great. And then they will also have better estimation when you turn on and off HVAC, right? I remember when some cars will actually not display any difference when you turn on and off HVAC. It depends which car it is. And then it will just, once you start driving, it will change the GOM or change, yeah, estimated range based on that. But at least maybe Toyota, they were a little bit pessimistic. Once you turn on heater, right? or cooling, the range would drop by a lot, unrealistically high drop. Yeah, so they're gonna change that and make it more realistic. And then I think one of the last things was, I don't remember what was the last thing again. But I also asked them, okay, so is this a pure OTA or is it? Yeah, the last thing was the consumption was actually showing 10% higher. They included charging loss, which is weird. Nobody else does it, but they claim that in US they do that. It's required to do that in US. Really, I haven't heard about that before. If that was true, then, for example, Tesla would have higher consumption in US versus in like the EPA rating, right? Versus the ABRP. That doesn't make any sense at all. But okay, so it means that the consumption numbers I was getting was actually 10% higher than it really was. So yeah, and then at least they refer to the NAF test. There's a range test that NAF did during winter. It has its flaws, that test. We also talk about the test, because the problem is that they drive up and down, and some cars, if they're unlucky, they will run out of juice on top of the mountain. And the Toyota actually just happened to run out around Dovreskogen or close to Hjerkinn or something, which is a roughly around 800-900 meters over sea level. And that test, the NAF test, does not take in account or does not compensate for any elevation change. So whatever range you have managed to drive until that end point there, that's the range they slap down, chop it in stone. Yeah. So, but okay, whatever. So, whatever it was again, yeah. So we talk a little bit about that test. And at least they say that the Toyota had a very low consumption number. I mean, okay, in that test, yeah, it showed 10% higher consumption. But if you deduct 10% from it, then the Toyota would be one of the most efficient ones, maybe just right behind Model 3. I was like, really? In winter? I mean, it sounds almost too good to be true. So I was a little bit skeptic there, like, okay, well, we'll see, I guess. I will test it myself. So, I guess in spring, yeah. What else did we talk about? Yeah, so when it comes to the whole OTA, Toyota told me that the customers, they can get this upgrade for free, existing owners, that's great, but you have to go to the service center. Well, did you expect anything else? So they can do some software changes totally over the air, but this one, since it affects maybe drivetrain or something deeper, then they want to take it to the service center and hook up on the OBD and then do the update or something like that. Yeah, but it's still going to be free for the customers, so that's great. And it will be coming in May. And I will also test. They will lend me this time. I will borrow it directly from Toyota, not via a fan club, fanboy, or I mean, yeah. So that's great, and then we can retest. I'm also interested to see. Okay, it was pretty bad. To be honest, it was pretty bad when I tested it, the throttling, and I want to see the difference when you loosen up a little bit, almost double the limit. How much of a difference will it make? And also, I wonder once it enters the throttle state eventually, will it still be dog slow like before, or have they also done any improvements there? I forgot to ask them about that one, but yeah. So yeah, and then. We also talked about the last thing, by the way, before the meeting ended. I also mentioned that, yeah, by the way, I contacted you guys many years ago and requested to borrow Mirai, but it was just never follow up. And yeah, they said, yeah, we can borrow you Mirai when we have ready. I was like, okay, well, I'm not ready yet, but because my calendar is kind of booked up. But we agreed that, yeah, they will provide me a Mirai. The new one, not the old one that looks freaking ugly, but the new one is way better looking. Looks like a nice version of a Camry or something like that, you know. So yeah, they will provide me that one, and I said, yeah, I'm up for it, man. I'm gonna try some 1,000 kilometer challenge. I can do banana box test. We can do some acceleration test, some braking test, range test, of course. Even though I'm not sure how I'm gonna do it, because one does not simply charge a depleted hydrogen car. So once you run out, then you're out. Then yeah. So maybe I have to start and end close to Kvam. Yeah, Kvam, a little bit north of Oslo. There is a refueling station, and then I'm not sure about. Or ironically, the refueling station at Sandvika that blew up, I think now they have fast chargers there instead. Yeah, for electric cars, real electric cars, not the wannabe electric cars. But okay, when it comes to a hydrogen car, okay, so I said that it was bullshit and all that. You know, in the past I had lots of claims about hydrogen, did some research, but to be honest, I have actually never driven a hydrogen car myself. I have not tested it myself. So in a way, it's kind of bullshit for me, right? To be honest, because how can I know how bad it is if I haven't tried one? It's almost as if some anti-EV petrol head would talk shit about EVs, but then they haven't tried an EV before, right? Are you guys with me there? So that's why, okay, I'm gonna try one, and I will of course be as neutral as possible when I try it and see how it is. But of course, if it's good, then okay. If the noise levels are low, if the car is nice, then I will of course bring it out. But if it's bad, if we have problems, like nozzles freeze over, like the consumption is high and we don't get the advertised range, then I will of course talk about that one. So yeah. But it was interesting that I can finally meet Toyota, because I'm talking about this in the past, that some companies, they are not that responsive when I try to borrow cars from them or stuff like yeah, so too bad, I guess, but it's nice to be able to meet that whatever company, and yeah, and at least get some press cars. Like, I don't expect any special treatment from every brand out there, but it would be nice if, yeah, for example, when I request to borrow a Mirai or something, right, whatever, if they could just say, ah, well, we have one, or we don't have one, or you know, something like that. So yeah, I mean, how do other people, other journalists or other media, how did they get the cars? Well, they have to contact the same importers like I do, but of course maybe they have a bigger department than I don't, so I don't always I don't always bother following up every case. If they want me to try them, then great. If there's something interesting, for example Ioniq 6, then great, I will test it. But other than that, if it's not too interesting car, then not too interesting, I mean, not too important for me to test it. For example, Porsche, as an example. Yeah, it would be great for me to test some Porsche, but I guess the view counts might not be the best. So then, what's in it for me, right? I need to test cars that get lots of views. Because, not only because I will be making more money and I will be getting more subscribers, but my viewers are in general more interested in those cars. High view counts means that it's more relevant for my viewers, right? And then for some reason the Toyota videos gets lots of views. Maybe it's because you guys are interested in buying the Toyota then. Yeah, well, no, my bad. Shit, what I'm doing, I'm trying to be a good BMW driver here. Use blinkers, I try to use the right lane, what the heck, man? But yeah, so let me see, I'm trying to remember, what else did we talk about during that meeting? It was a very nice meeting, and well, I also wonder sometimes my viewers in my channel, they are in general very negative against Toyota. Okay, to be honest, I also make jokes about Toyota, like the Toyota drivers. I mean, no, that is actually no joke. They are the slowest drivers on this planet, at least in Norway. I'm not sure about other countries. Yeah, in Thailand, Toyota drivers, they are different species over there. But at least in Norway, Toyota drivers, they are the slowest ones. They are the ones that drives in the left lane 1 kilometer per hour faster than the right lane, right? Super annoying people. Yeah, and I also make jokes that they are behind. Well, I still claim that they are behind the rest of the rest of the car industry when it comes to EV. But because they haven't really been making EVs, just like, well, we can take other brands also, like Mazda. They only have one car, the CX-30, electric. Sorry, wait, was it MX-30? And Subaru. Is it Subaru? Subaru. Yeah, but Subaru, they have Solterra, which is based on the Toyota drivetrain. And then Mitsubishi, well, they have Ioniq. Wait, do they have other electric? Yeah, so you see, many Japanese brands, they are really far behind, except for Nissan. Yeah, which is the most front-coming from China, from Japan at least. Yeah. So but then Toyota, again, in my opinion, they are behind. Just look at the other brands. Even Tesla had to start somewhere. The earlier Tesla weren't that great compared to today's Tesla, and the same for the earlier Korean cars, like classic Soul, for example. Wasn't that great compared to today's Soul or EV6, right? So every brand needs to start somewhere. But the other brands, they started many years ago making those mistakes. Like even Volkswagen with the e-Golf, it didn't have active cooling. It was not utilizing the space that great. They just used an existing platform and so on, and the battery wasn't charging that fast. But they learned from it. From what I heard, Volkswagen actually lost money on each e-Golf they sold. But I guess they were just getting experience with building electric cars like the e-Golf and the e-Up. And then eventually they made the MEB platform, and you guys know the rest of the story. So MEB cars, they are way better as an EV. They're way better design. So yeah, I feel like Toyota just have to they have to walk up that hill just like everyone else did 5 years ago, yeah, or 10 years ago. So but on the other hand, that you can say a lot about the Toyota BZ. From what I remember, the good things that I tend to forget to mention in some videos is that, for example, the Toyota actually had really nice and smooth auto steer. On 1,000 kilometer challenge, it was similar to this BMW. It would just drive and stay centered on the lane, whereas other cars, even like Swedish cars, right, would be like this, and the Chinese cars would be like this. Okay, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but yeah. So the Toyota was really smooth there, and it was in general fairly quiet, at least at low speed. And high speed, it was a bit noisier. So it's not like the Toyota was worse on everything. There is a car from that company, or that that is even worse, and that is the Lexus. Toyota did mention that they have the Lexus. They kept mentioning they have that many models, and they also have the Toyota vans, Pro-Ace. But the Lexus is far worse than the BZ, because the Lexus was really noisy. The user interface was clumsy. It had no navigation. It was charging really slow. It used Chonamo. The consumption was high. The battery was small, or it was actually weird. The battery, it was supposed to be 50 something kilowatt hour, over 50, but yeah. So the Lexus was, in my opinion, a bad car for the money. And also, it was also back then it was more expensive than, for example, e-Niro. So at least the BZ, once they tweak it, fix some of the stuff, then it would be a lot better. And yeah, and it's actually not only Toyota that does that throttling. BMW, since we are sitting in the BMW, the i4 was also limited. I believe it was roughly 250 kilowatt hour that you charge within 1 day before it starts throttling. You guys remember it, right? Or maybe you don't. But they are also going to raise that limit on the i4. I don't know how much. don't remember. I talked to BMW about this, but even BMW also admitted that that limit was too high, too low or something. You know, it was too strict. They realized that it didn't have to be that strict. So they are raising the limit to make it better. And when it comes to Aria or Nissan Aria, that one also has some kind of limit. I think that one seems to be tick-based or plug-in based. So if you plug in twice on DC, then you use up your sessions, and then from there you get that weird 90 kilowatt flat rate until 85%. So yeah, in that regard, I would say that the Toyota has potential to be good. If it's true that the consumption was 10% higher, the display consumption and so on. Oh yeah, I forgot another thing about the May update. Of course, very important one. They're going to open up more of the buffer. So they have a quite hefty below 0%, 0 kilometer buffer, something like 8 kilowatt hour. I think that's what many people figured out. So they're going to open up more. They say 10-15 kilometers extra, which could probably mean around 2-3 kilowatt hour more in use. Yeah, so I guess that will help. I mean, you could even take today's version and drive it below 0. But the thing is that most people, they don't dare to do that. They will just look at what the display says, and they will... yeah, I think most people, once it says 0 kilometers, 0%, they will try to charge the car. They don't try to push it. But of course, there are some people ninjas, who can use some OBD tool, like Leaf Spy in the Leaf, and you can then go below. You can go almost 10% below 0 on the Leaf. Yeah, depending on which model, 40 and 62 Leaf, for example. But yeah, so I mean, for some reason, the Toyota BZ is actually the second, or was the second best-selling EV in Norway in March, I think it was, or was it the whole year? This year, I don't remember. So of course, that is because many people ordered the car a long time ago, and then it was delivered in the beginning of this year, and that's why they got so high sales number. So technically, when is a sale? Well, a sale is when you when is a sale? It's a sale when you order it, or it's a sale when you take delivery of it. Because then car manufacturers like Tesla, they can shape it the way they like it, so that they get lots of sales in 1 month, like they've been doing with the Model Y, with crazy high sales, so-called sales numbers, right? Which is technically delivery numbers. But my impression of the Toyota is that okay, it had some annoying bugs and features. I remember in the software, it felt thirsty, but I need to get a better impression of it with the corrected consumption numbers, I guess. And it was charging slow once it throttled. So I think with the May update, it should be better, but don't expect the Toyota to be class-leadingly good. Like, it's not going to be as good as a Model Y or maybe ID4 or Skoda Enyaq, but at least it will be better than it is today. Yeah, that's my prediction from what I've seen. So like I mentioned, you know, it seems like Toyota, for some reason, in my channel gets lots of hate. I don't know why. Like, did they cheat? Well, I mean, Volkswagen, they cheated, and then I understand why many people hate Volkswagen and they would never buy anything from Volkswagen. But I'm not sure what Toyota did. Okay, they had some, they came with some claims that hydrogen is the future and EVs, nobody wants EVs and stuff like that. Maybe they just pissed off EV lovers with those claims. But at least I have no grudge against Toyota. I make fun about them. That's another thing. But I also make jokes about the BMW drivers and Audi drivers and lots of other. And I always stereotype people and brands or whatever. Yeah, fat e-tron drivers. but I actually want more EVs on the market. Good EVs, of course. So if Toyota can pull it off and make good EVs eventually, that would be great. That would be better for the whole EV community, that you can then get, you have better selection of cars out there. So there's always room for yet another EV in the market, and then of course less fossil cars in the market. So yeah, that was a very long speech from me, and some input, some thoughts around Toyota, and yeah, maybe I can hear what you guys think. I mean, why do you guys think there was so much negative comments about Toyota? Like every time, like I've seen it, you know, on Facebook when they have promoted post on Facebook about yeah, some test. Yeah, I don't remember. I think it was Elbilforeningen and some of those testers. They tested winter capabilities with BZ versus ID4, I think, and Model Y. And then there in that test, the Toyota had the best braking performance, braking distance. I was like, whoa, really? And then my first thought was, what kind of tires did they use? But then turns out that supposedly they use the same tires, except for that they use the same Hakkapeliitta R5 tires, but then maybe different dimensions based on the car. But then some cars had the EV, the Hakkapeliitta 5 EV, and then some didn't. But that shouldn't matter too much. So I was like, wow, I was a little bit surprised, because I would expect Tesla to have the best braking performance. But I guess on snow and ice, maybe it's different. But okay, my point was that when every time Toyota tried to post something positive on Facebook in a promoted post, I read the comments and lots of people are just yelling at Toyota, like shit company, shit car. Like, what the heck, man? I'm not trying to defend Toyota, but I'm just wondering, why are people having this grudge against Toyota? Yeah, let me know in the comment section. So yeah, now I can finally move over to the right lane after I shot this video. So I think that's going to be it for now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, thank you for watching, and talk to you later.